Thank you for stopping by the Life of Sassy today and checking out my video. It's been a while since you've been in the kitchen with me cooking or baking, but it's time for me to get back in the kitchen. It is my happy place and it's time for me to do some baking. Today we have two great recipes. Let's jump in and get started. The first recipe we're going to be making today is lemon ricotta cookies. These are so good, but I will warn you, this recipe makes a lot of them. And I've also got to be honest, somehow I forgot to take a final photo of just the cookie, but these cookies are amazing. I've made them multiple times. I've taken them to work. Everyone loves them. I hope you give this recipe a try. Now let's get baking. I'm going to start by measuring out my dry ingredients. To my bowl, I'm going to go ahead and add in 2.5 cups of flour. Next, I need a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to go ahead and just give this a good mix. And I'll set this off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350, and in my mixing bowl I'm going to add 1/2 cup of softened butter. And to that, I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 cups of sugar. And with my hand mixer, I'm just going to go ahead and mix this up until it's light and fluffy. Okay, until we add more liquid. That's as good as that's going to get. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in my 2 eggs. Now we're going to add the zest of 1 lemon. This is optional, but I think it gives the cookies more lemon flavor. Most of the flavor actually comes from the zest, so it says optional, but I think it's required. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a mix with my hand mixer before I add in the ricotta. Now we're going to add in 15 ounces of ricotta. In Canada, they don't sell it by the ounce, they sell it by the gram. So I just took my kitchen scale and weighed out 15 ounces. And then we need to add in 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. And it says to fold in the ricotta, so I'm going to do it with my spatula. And now we'll add our dry ingredients. I'm going to add about half, get that mixed in, and add the other half. And it just would not be baking with me if I didn't make a little bit of a mess. Sorry guys, I thought I had my camera on. I didn't. I finished mixing together the dough. It was a little bit challenging. It took a little more mixing than I would have liked, but the dough is all together. Now I'm going to scoop it out. I'm using my full-size cookie tray because this recipe makes a lot of cookies. I still have a fair amount of dough left, so I'm going to pop these ones in the oven and then I will put the rest on a second cookie sheet. These are going to bake for 12 minutes. Now they don't turn brown, you just want to cook them until they kind of lose their glossiness. I'll show you what they look like when they come out. And here we have the second tray ready to go in once the first tray comes out. I did end up baking my lemon ricotta cookies for about an extra 2 minutes. I probably should have only done 1 minute. They really shouldn't have browned as much as they did, but these were still excellent. So good. I highly recommend this recipe. Now let's move on to the next recipe. The second cookie, so to say, I will be making today is a peanut butter blossom bar. Now, I've made peanut butter blossom cookies quite often. My family loves them, but this seems like it could be a little easier, a little quicker. So let's give it a go. On the screen is everything I'm going to need to make them. Let's jump in and start baking. To get started, I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees, and in my bowl here, I'm going to put together my dry ingredients. Right now, I'm measuring in 1 3/4 cups of flour. To this, I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're just going to mix this up and set it off to the side. In my mixing bowl, I have 1/2 cup of butter. I just put it in the microwave for a couple of seconds because it didn't seem very soft. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of white sugar and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And now I'm adding in 1/2 cup of peanut butter. You can use smooth or crunchy as per the recipe. I'm using smooth. It's our preferred peanut butter. And now with my hand mixer, I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. To my bowl, I'm going to add 1 egg. Next, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of milk. And lastly, a teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to mix this up again with our hand mixer. Next, we're going to go ahead and add in our dry ingredients. And mix until combined. I'm just going to unplug this and get it out of my way. Even though I mixed it with a hand mixer, I always like to go in with a spatula and just give it one good mix just to make sure there's no pockets of flour down in the bottom. The original recipe, which will be linked down below in the description, says to grease a 9x13 pan. I'm going to use parchment paper just to make my life easy, so we're going to go ahead and dump in the batter and spread it out. Now these are going in a 350 degree oven for 19 to 24 minutes until they are set. I'll let you know exactly how long they bake for. My peanut butter bars came out of the oven right at the 19 minutes. Now you're supposed to use 40 chocolate kisses and push them in. I don't have any, so I'm just going to use chocolate chips. I did notice in the comments a lot of people said that instead of the Hershey Kisses, they were using the mini peanut butter cups, which sounds really good, but I also don't have any of those on hand. So I'm just going to lightly push these in so they stick. Now, the original recipe says to put this in the freezer and let it cool there. I'm going to try just letting it sit on a wire rack and let it cool that way. I'm not sure about the texture of the bar if you put it in the freezer too cool. So I'm just going to, after I put the chocolate chips on, I'm going to take it out of the pan and leave it to sit on a wire rack and cool. I also let my cookie bars cool about 5 minutes before I put the chocolate chips on, just because they're smaller. I didn't want them to melt immediately, but you do have to push them in. These bars were amazing. 100% going to make this recipe again. The chocolate chips were a great substitution if you don't have Hershey Kisses on hand. I hope you try this recipe out. Thank you for stopping by The Life of Sassy. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I loved being back in the kitchen and baking. It really is my happy place. But this is The Life of Sassy, and it isn't all about the kitchen. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. That just lets me know you enjoyed it. And if you're not already part of my YouTube family, please consider clicking that subscribe button and joining us. We'd love to have you. Thank you again for stopping by, and have a wonderful day.